Yo, what's up, VGR family? Back at it again today. Joining me is Larry in the building. What's going on, Larry?
Hey Aiden, Happy New Year. It's 2026. It's good to see you, man. How you living?
It is 2026, and I'm living pretty good. As you guys see, we got a little duo episode going on. CJ is currently watching a basketball game down there in Detroit, and it's not going in his favor. Let's just say
No,
that.
no.
Versus
Sorry,
the
bud.
Knicks, yeah, did not end very well. So we got a little duo episode going on. Uh, Yeah, this episode we're doing something a little different. We're not doing exactly an extra. We're not doing exactly a game of the week. We're doing a VGR movie night, where,
Bum, bum, bum.
yeah, we threw some movies out there. I threw one out there. We ended up going with one of my suggestions. It is a movie we both haven't watched before. It is called The Seventh Seal. Well, we don't really have an exact format like we usually do for movies, so we're kind of gonna jump right into it. Uh, Well, we'll start off with The Seventh Seal. The story is directed and written by, guys, I'm gonna try, Ingmar, Ingmar, Ingmar Bergman. Sounds right. Directed and
Sounds right.
written. It was an older movie, published in 1957. It's called The Seventh Seal. The Swedish name, I'm not even going to try to pronounce today, but this was started off by a Bergman screenplay. It was based off of his own play called The Wood Painting. So kind of interesting. Um, what do you think, Larry? First impressions. Did you have anything coming into this? What did you expect? What did you find out?
Definitely this is New World. No flashback remembrance behaviors of this. You brought this up. I looked at it. I'm like, this is intriguing, and I mean, immediately went in to watch probably the first 10 minutes just to see what I agreed to, and it does feel very classical on the idea, like it just opens up, and I don't think there's any soundtrack to it really. Little thunderclap, and the movie kind of begins, and almost immediately I was intrigued. I'm like, okay, so what are we getting into? These people definitely aren't the beautiful people that you're used to seeing on the screens nowadays. Um, and I was just really I was taken to awe, almost to the point of originally saying it's like a car accident. One that's like you're not sure what you're seeing, but you can't really take your eyes off of it. I mean, is that the best way to put it? I don't know. Um,
I get that.
but boy, it drew me right in. Um, my my youthful, childlike wonder of what it is that I'm seeing gauge filled to the top, and I I immediately was just really just kind of just in awe. Now, like I said, that's literally the first 10 minutes of watching this thing. I think I get through the first two scenes, maybe. So I guess maybe 15 minutes of it. At that point, it's like, oh yeah, I'm in. I'm fully in, because that's as far as I got before I talked to you when we seen each other the other day.
Mhm.
So that's my initial. I mean, I was gung ho, and that's where I'm going to start on.
It's definitely interesting. It's definitely different. I We both went into this completely blind, uh, and it's a cool way to experience media, going into something completely blind, to where not even our cultural norms are affected by this movie. Like, there's some movies that are so infamous, like Fight Club I mentioned earlier, which I already knew kind of the twist of the movie going into it. And it is cool going into a movie not even knowing the premise of it. So it's very interesting, and I think that's how I think most media, most books, most movies are meant to be dove into completely blind, and that we were. It was very interesting. In first impressions, I noticed 1950 movie, 50s movie. They showed the shoreline, like it was kind of a cinematic shot of the shoreline towards the very beginning, and I instantly thought, I'm like, oh shit, this looks really good. I was not at all expecting this, and it kind of shot back to some clips I've seen. I haven't watched a full movie, but 2001: Space Odyssey, and you see that's only a decade after this. I mean, that's 1968, and they have they have shots that are absolutely like crazy that look almost like very modern. And I kind of got that vibe at the very beginning. I mean, some of the costume designs and stuff is very aged. Don't get me wrong, uh, a bit, and some of the soundtrack is aged. You can definitely tell it's old when they do have a soundtrack. The very few times they do, mostly they play it for like a moving scene or like a transition into a different scene.
Yeah.
Kind of they set the tone for the next scene they're trying to get at. But going into this blind, it was very intriguing in how they kind of portrayed death, and when they said they were going to play chess, and how death and how I can't remember his name now.
Onios Block.
Yeah, Mr. Block. I'm going to call him Mr. Block, and how Mr. Block approached the conversation with death was very intriguing. But yeah, we'll jump right into it. I mentioned how surprisingly good some of the shots were, and somehow how some stuff was dated. What did you think graphically? Did it hold up, or what was your opinions on that?
As cinematic art, I thought it was beautiful, and I mean, give it a front. I didn't really like say my all and my dismay, or not my dismay, but just my all of what I'm seeing. It was kind of throwing me off. But when I came back to watch it again and look at it again, it's like, yeah, this shot was thought out. This was very pretty. And strange, like I imagine you did the same thing. You watched it online, just like I did. Um,
Mm,
it did not have that classic grainy look. It looked like film watching it on a DVD, a VHS. Hell, maybe it would look like to somebody who watched it in the 50s. But I thought everything looked really tight, really crisp. Lines were clean. The only thing that looked kind of off was a little bit of the fading between scenes where you'd have the clouds kind of overplaying on top of stuff. The lightning I thought was pretty interesting. I was intrigued, like how the hell did they make lightning happen in a 1957 movie?
yeah,
Which I'm sure it's just some imposed picture on top of picture stuff. But again, I mean, the actual just scene to scene was thought out, was really was well, it was tight. I did watch a thing to help kind of give me some artsy thing on, which then again, like I said, when I looked at it again, I see it. The angles were weird. They weren't straight on like you are, we're at a
yeah,
fixed angle as we're doing. They give you angles to give you like perspective. You're looking up, you're looking down, you're looking over and stuff. So it almost kind of like made you feel like you say you were a fly on the wall watching this. And very, very good cinematography. I think part of that's what helps us carry on 70 years later.
I agree. And another thing about graphically that was impressive to me, and this was obvious due to them not having CGI back in the day. Everything was real. If they had a camp set up, like the town set up, like from scene to scene, everything was real. They're pushing a carriage. That's a real carriage. They're pushing it
Yeah.
through the lake. That's real, and that really adds to it. You don't. Sometimes when you're watching a modern movie, I mean, you can tell CGI, and you would think it would be like the graphically, it wouldn't be as impressive since it's a movie from the 50s in Sweden, but it really was. It was pretty cool, and I'm pretty sure this was shot in 35 millimeter film, and it was. I'm not sure the exact aspect ratio, but it wasn't wide. It was like almost a square. I don't know if you noticed that. Like the sides of your screen were like blocks, and it was square. It wasn't wide like most stuff is shot in now.
I guess that's the classical 4:3 as we would know it today, but I'm sure the resolution was a whole other issue there. But
Yeah,
yeah. But
but
I do want to touch back on something you said it, and I want to make sure I get it in here as we're talking about looks and appearances of this. Um, Sir Block, the knight, the star of this movie, had the chintziest looking freaking knight outfit I've ever seen in my life. I mean, you could
yeah,
tell it's supposed to be chainmail with the cross hanging off the front of them and all that, but
mm,
it's like, damn, dog, that was the one thing I guess kind of worried me up front. It was like, oh, like this is low budget horror movie stuff, but it kind of made sense as it went on why it looked the way it did. But like I said, up front, that was the one thing that jumped out at me that visually was kind of like off at first.
Yeah, the costume direction was a little dated for sure. And speaking of appearances, that Yoff, the actor, the one that had the wife that had the kid, it's
Okay.
Yon or Yoff or something. Uh,
Yeah,
Actually, let me
Joff.
see it here. Yeah,
Joff.
yeah, it was Joff or Yoff or
Ah,
whatever.
yeah.
But he was dating up. I'll just say that. Speaking of
Oh yeah.
appearances, he was
Yeah.
dating way. He was dating way up.
Hey,
Everyone in the
that's
movie looked like they were from the '50s, and she looked like she was straight from Miami.
yeah. She would still be, she'd still be a looker today. I mean, don't get me wrong, but I guess this is hope for anybody who's listening. Funny guys, it pays off. It pays
There we
off.
go.
So
Yeah, it was. And we doesn't have to we don't have to go very deep into this, but soundtrack wasn't a ton of soundtrack. Like I said, more like for scene transitioning, or if you had like a or towards the end of a scene or the beginning of a scene or a cinematic moment, there was a slight soundtrack, but there wasn't like an overarching soundtrack throughout the movie. A lot of it was just atmosphere and dialogue, and
hmm
so not a ton of soundtrack to touch on. What do you have anything to say about that?
no, I agree with you. I mean, it's. I almost think it was done like they would have done quote unquote silent movies. Like with those, they filmed it. There's no audio to really have. And they came back and basically when they
Mm,
sent it to the cinema, the theater, they said, "Here, play this record with it when you do these parts and all that." So that kind of, and it sounded like it came from a record that was being played in there.
it did.
Um, but outside of that, I mean, outside of like you say, some transitional stuff, I think towards the end, or no, it was about somewhere about the third act. Um, Joff, the acrobat, the actor, whatever, he was playing his little fiddle lute
They called it something.
guitar
Yeah,
thing.
loot. I'm pretty sure they called it a loot.
Yeah, well, he sat there and played it in the background, and I think that's the only time that they actually had some music that seemed to be part of the scene, not just something to help you move around through the slow part.
Yeah, that's when they were having their great meal of strawberries and milk.
Yeah,
Their
I like
king's
dinner, but it's
feast.
very good, very good.
I'm sure it was. We're gonna go on a little bit differently. Past this point of the video, I guess this is a spoiler warning. I want to kind of go through the movie with you and kind of explain it in our own words, kind of what we saw. Starting off, explaining to this for the people out there. So if you want to go out and watch this movie, go back and watch it. It's an hour and a half. Won't take too long. Come back to this video. Timestamp it. Uh, it starts off. Antonius Black, Sir Black, or Antigonus Black, whatever the hell his name is. He's off on his beach. They got back from war pretty much for 10 years, and he's on this beach, and he's washing his face off, and he looks up surprised, and he sees death there. And before all this is happening, he has just a chessboard set out, and pretty much he has conversations with Mr. Death there, and he said, I heard Death, you're quite good in chess. If I beat you, you'll let me live, pretty much, and that's kind of how the story progresses with this. So they play like a sequence, and then later in the movie they play another sequence. Later in the movie they play another sequence. You don't get a ton of the actual chess game, which when I first thought that, I thought it was literally going to be like the whole movie was going to be them on the beach playing chess, like having a conversation. I literally thought that.
I I actually thought at first, when they first start the chess game, it kind of like cuts into the next scene. Um, I thought maybe, you know, he lost, he won.
I did too.
He's going to be something. I mean, we're in the 21st century now, so here you are again. Spoilers, if you will. I thought it's like he died, and it's just going to be him roaming the earth, going through something, trying to understand something, but. No, like you say, later on they keep playing and keep going. It's like, oh, okay. So they pause for a minute. Okay. I didn't know they have a save state.
Yeah, pretty much. And I actually thought the same exact thing. I thought it was going to be that, or either it was going to show Mr. Block and they meet with somebody else, and they say, and he talks about how he beat Death in a chess match, and it was going to be like he was going to like brag about he evaded Death and stuff like that, and like Death's probably eventually going to catch up to him. That's kind of what I thought it was going to go off of when they cut away from the chess scene, but yeah, they got a good memory.
Real quick though, I gotta say, if nothing else, I do love the very opening scene. It because it in itself leads to questions because basically, Sir Block is laying there, kind of just pimping, like waiting around, like I'm just hanging out, me and my chessboard here, see what's going on. And then his squire Jean over there's fucking straight passed out on the rocks, and just kind of gets up like, oh, good morning, here I am. I'm, it's like I just woke up from a bender or something. No, I've been at the Crusades for 10 years, but it's a weird intro to come in. I guess they didn't know how to get them there,
Yeah.
But I mean, either they partied really hard or they just washed up on the shore. One of these two things happened. We'll never know, but that's just how that opens. And I thought that was amusing too as I look back at it.
Yeah, they didn't really go into detail about their past lives, that's for sure, or how they ended up where they were, which I kind of don't mind. I don't. Sometimes flashbacks get a little muddy, and I kind of just having my imagination to picture what happened. And then we cut to our other group in the story. Shortly after that, Mia, Yoff, and another one of their actor friends I can't remember the name of.
Scat,
Mia, and Yoff, this actor group. Yoff's a juggler, and they go from town to town in this plague-ridden area and perform. I guess back in the day, maybe that was a type of profession. You were almost like a jester going performing and acting stuff out.
Yeah, it's entertainment, traveling entertainment. I mean, because what else were you doing, right?
Yeah, get to see the world, I guess. And yeah, they're in the city. They travel to. They're performing on stage. Scat goes off and messes with the blacksmith's old lady there in the back of the scene, and out through we're gonna have to, guys, we're summarizing this with our own memory, so you're gonna need some help. Help me out here. And is this just like a plague group, like people warding off the plague that come like marching through the town? Like, what was that supposed to be?
Well, we'll back up here because you missed the scene where they stopped at the church.
Oh yeah,
the Block and John stopped at the church, and part of that was he was looking to figure out, hey, is there a preacher here I can talk to, try to get some answers on some of my overrunning questions, and there wasn't. But they had the painter guy there, and he was telling about this religious rite that comes around and does this stuff. So yeah, they're basically I don't know, I got what you would call it, just I don't want to say like a mob, but basically a group of people who are hardly hardcore religious about, one, religious, and two, people begging and pleading for forgiveness from God because of the plague. I think they just go from town to town saying, better give your soul to God now because hell's coming.
That's a very good point, and I believe I completely skipped over that part. And yeah, that is. I guess they would just be like a religious, almost like culty religious, almost evangelical, almost to what we have now. But they would literally they'll be punishing themselves, literally like whipping themselves as they're marching through the town. And I believe before the town, there's also a scene with Block at a church that's confessing his sins to what he thinks is a priest, and he's talking about it and almost questioning at this point, and he's very much questioning if God's real. He's a religious man. He's been fighting in the name of God for a decade, but God has never spoken out to him. He's been silent, and his silence was concerning to Block. And he was talking to this priest. The priest wasn't really budging on anything, giving him any answers. And then he mentions how he's playing chess with death and how he's going to flank him with his knight. And then the priest turns, and it's actually he's talking to death, and he's like, I'll keep that in mind. So it's kind of interesting how death travels throughout the world. He's like not human. He's an omnipotent being that can teleport or travel wherever he needs to be. So it is interesting how they portray him in that as well.
And I guess even the same, I don't want to say the same scene, but the same locale, his squire runs into a monk. I think this is where he finds him, and he recognizes the squire recognizes the monk. He's like, "Hey, you're the one who convinced my master to go fight this crusade 10 years ago, and now look at you. You're here being basically a thief because at the time he was robbing dead bodies."
And the squire saved this mute girl from presumably being raped. I guess that's what was the implications of that, or being killed or something.
Yeah, that was what was weird. I didn't know if he was saving her from the monk.
I think so, because the monk had her almost pinned down.
Okay. I partially because I think back to it, I'm like, I was a little thrown off because he was like, I could rape you, I could take you. It was like, whoa, calm down there, John. You know, shit, dude. And
Yeah.
he like tries to kiss her. I'm like, that was
Mhm.
like, where the hell did that come from? So, a little threw me off there. But again, that was probably just part of trying to read and pay attention to what's going on. But
This is also
this
70
this
years
monk,
ago, so
yeah, I mean that's
different
probably
times.
pretty normal. But
Yeah.
the monk does he kind of has like a running part in this too, but that'll come
Mhm.
back around later.
Yeah, so yeah, interrupt me if I skip something because I'm just going based off memory here. I don't have a written down thing. But yeah, they see the religious cult marching through the city and kind of everyone gets worried. And then after that, is this where everyone they kind of met up or is this like soon after that? Oh, yeah, that's kind of when they met because uh Black and the Squire was watching the play kind of
Yeah,
before this happened. And that's kind of how they all met.
and that's where what the blacksmith he kind of gets up drunk, wanders off. His wife apparently gets horny for the actor guy and runs off with him in the woods, and they all start kind of just bumping into each other at that point because they're all stuck in the same little town.
Yeah, and soon after that, Sir Block and Mia wonder upon each other, and they start talking. And Mia has her little child, and they meet up with Yoff. And like we mentioned earlier, they had their great feast of strawberry and milk, and then he set up his chessboard, and then he went down and he played death, and I'm pretty sure at this point was it this point when he lost his queen? I couldn't remember.
I believe so. Yeah, that's when he finally gets the queen taken, and I can't remember what he responds to, but they've all friended up at this point. They're hanging out, chilling out, and they say he decides to stop and play with him again. A weird thing, which I do know you missed this earlier, but it happens a couple times in this movie. Joff, the acrobat actor guy, he has visions. When we first meet him, he sees Mary and what he believes is Jesus walking by,
Hmm.
and his wife's like, "Oh, and your crazy visions." Well, now he sees Block playing chess with Death. Mia doesn't see Death sitting there. She just sees Block sitting there playing chess, which I thought was intriguing. I'm like, why does Joff see Death sitting there, but she don't?
It is interesting how they use that because normally you can only see death when you're going to die. Because
Yeah,
how they go throughout the whole movie is if somebody sees death, that's like you're going to die. If you see death, if you're not going to die, you don't see him. So it is interesting. We'll get into that later. Uh, but as Mia and Block are talking, I think directly before this, the blacksmith, which ran off with the other squire, is kind of confronting Yoff about, hey, your man, what did you guys do with my wife? Your man is off with my wife, and they make him dance and make a fool out of him. And that's when the squire runs into the monk again, almost because the monk is who is kind of tormenting him as well. And the squire says, I remember my promise. Next time I see you, I'm gonna leave a mark on your face, a permanent mark on your face." So he cuts him with some sort of knife, and then they go on about their day, and everyone meets up, kind of.
yeah. I mean, I know we're jumping around a little bit, but yeah, we're pretty much up to that point where, I guess Block enjoyed the company of everyone, the actors and all that, and said, "Hey, come with me through the forest. Don't go down to this town here because
It's
it's
plague ridden,
ravaged
yeah.
by the plague. So come with me through the forest. Once we get there, you can come stay in my castle with us, and you'll be fine there. You won't get plagued." So that's when they all decided to start going through the woods, I believe.
Yeah, and actually, I forgot to mention an interesting part when Block and Death were playing chess. He mentions uh he mentions Mia and Yoff by their full names and their kid. So, or maybe this is a little later. Is this when he? I'm pretty sure. No, this was before that. He just mentioned them by their name, and Block was suspicious of that, almost like Death has them in mind. So he's
Yeah.
almost suspicious of that.
Well, I was thinking, but I think you leave here. I thought because they do stop in the woods at some point to make camp or something, right? Because I think that's
Yeah,
when
and
they ran into the the other actor and the guy's wife.
yeah, after that, that's when they all meet together, and then for some reason, I don't really know exactly why, the blacksmith wanted to go with the squire because he was so lonely now. He wanted to go with them, escort, go to the forest with them. So now the group of people that are going to the forest is Block, his squire, Mia Yoff, their child, and the blacksmith are about to go through the forest, make their journey there to the castle. So they're all safe. So
Um,
they start their journey.
no, okay, so the wife is in there now, right? The blacksmith's wife.
No, not at this point.
Okay,
Eventually she
sorry, go
does.
on.
But they start off their journey, and it by the seams of it, like quickly after they start their journey, they run into uh, the wife and the squire, and then actually they get into the blacksmith that said he was going to kill the squire. They get into a scuffle, and then or kill the other actor. They get into a scuffle, and then the actor faked his death with this toy knife and stabs him in the heart.
That was a funny scene. Like he straight
Yeah,
hustled this guy. Like, oh, this guy's an idiot. We're gonna hustle him, and because he has a beard on, all this stuff, and he's like, oh, I'm just gonna take all this off, and tomorrow I'll find him, and we'll be good. But I was like, it's like a small bit of comedy they stuck in here
yeah.
for some reason. You know, for 1957, this had been like ludicrous type comedy too.
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely. And actually, the blacksmith goes on forgiving him and saying, "Oh man, I wish you wouldn't have done that. I was starting to like the guy." And of course, he instantly forgives his wife for cheating because he's a sucker. And kind of the squire's kind of pointing at the whole time, like, "This is where he does this, and this is where he forgives her, and this is where she's going to talk about making his favorite meal."
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that was kind of a funny way. And then
that was a good scene.
they all drive off, or they all ride off by the carriage, and then the other actor that was sleeping with the blacksmith's wife crawls up a tree and says, "I'll wait here for now until they're all gone. Then I'll meet up with everybody." And then he hears somebody cutting down a tree, and he looks down, and Death is cutting down the tree. And then he have this conversation, pretty much saying, "Yep, it's your time." And he saw Death, so it was his time to die.
Now let's pause the movie here at a second because
Yeah,
this brings up one of my logic lost points of this, and it's like, did he, in the reality of the world that we live in and they live in, did he get in a tree that was too small for him and the branch broke and he fell?
I think that's how I interpreted that, or the tree fell down when he climbed up it, or climbed. Is that the past tense of climb?
Yeah,
When he
yeah.
climbed up the tree, it fell off, or a branch. I was thinking it wasn't clumb. He climbed up the tree and the branch broke, or the tree fell over, or something. But they were kind of like symbolizing that as Death cutting down the tree. That's how I took it.
Okay, well, like I said, the thing that I said that I wanted to say is like, because that's what happens in the scene physically as you see it is he's climbing the tree. He's like, okay, I'm good here. I'm going to stay here. And next, Death is cutting the tree down. I'm like, wait a second. He's just supposed to be collecting dead. He's not supposed to be killing.
Yeah,
So it was kind of threw me off. But I'm like, is that the metaphorical way of saying, oh, the tree broke, but the tree broke because Death cut it?
yeah, I think so. I don't think Death actually had a soul out there, or maybe he did. Maybe we're just in this world. Death is killer and collector kind of.
Okay, and watching enough Cinema Sins in my life, a continuity issue is why did he have like a bow saw instead of an axe?
I don't know. Maybe in Sweden they're more common. I don't know.
They seem like axe wielders to me. That's all I'm saying.
Maybe he rips out a chainsaw. That's cutting down the tree in the 1800s.
Little 2-cycle. But, all right, as we were, he like say, Scat's dead now. He's gone. Goodbye.
Yeah, recipe scat. Death took his toll there, so now it's the same group, but in addition, the blacksmith's wife is with them now. That's where it comes in. And
I
then
just remembered what I can't remember why they stopped in the woods, but I do remember what happened in there. Why they were spending more time in that, and that was the girl we missed earlier. Was who was at the church. There was a lady that they were basically pegging as a witch, and they were going to take her to be sacrificed or to be purified. And while they're in the woods, lo and behold, here they come, the the clergy guys from the church to bring her out to the woods to burn her at the stake or clean her soul, if you will. Things get a little interesting here.
They do. This is kind of where I got really intrigued. Like, he was keeping my intrigue. It was interesting the way the story was going, but kind of how they dealt with this, it was very intriguing. And I know we're jumping back and forth a little bit, but we forgot to mention, or I forgot to mention, that the mute girl's with him as well. That
Mm-hmm.
he's saved from the monk. The mute girl's with him as well, and and then they see these people carrying these knights that are pushing this lady that's tied up, that we saw in an earlier scene that she was a witch and she was to be burned. So they stop at where they were being burned, and Black, intrigued with the devil and death and if God's real, has a conversation with the witch saying, do you know the devil? Can I talk to him? Because he wants to ask him questions. And she's pretty much, in my interpretation of it, she's pretty much brain broken from being tied up for days. She is convinced, and I'm pretty sure her hands were broken, is what they mentioned. She was convinced that she is bad, that she saw the devil is within her. She said, "Look in my eyes, you'll see the devil." And as Black looked in her eyes, she said, "I see nothing. I see fear. I see terror," is what he said. "I see nothing but terror." And then, because he wants to, the thing about Block's character is he is trying to figure out, he's not convinced, or maybe he's, I think he's a believer, but he is to the point where he's questioning everything, saying, "I want God to show himself. I'm done this." He's committed 10 years of his life to God. He's probably his whole life. He's went on a 10-year crusade for him, and he has no answer so far. So he's going as far to try to get them from this quote unquote witch that is touched by the devil, and he ends up finding nothing there as well. It's just a regular girl that they've pretty much are going to burn.
It's it is weird because I mean he gets down there like, stay away from her, she's got the devil in her and all that, and he's like, have you seen the devil? And even like she's like, he's behind you, and he looks, he jumps like, oh, he's trying to jump scare me, Satan, and it's like he ain't there. It's like, and you can see his like disappointment. He knew at that point that she wasn't a witch, or she's in conversation with the devil. He's like, it's like, you're going to die and I can't watch this. And basically washes his hands over. But
And
I
they
do
feed her
notice
something, right?
that was weird too. I'm like, what kind of morphine shit did he give her? It's like, this will make the pain stop. Which I thought was intriguing that he whipped that out.
They mentioned like later, like literally a slight mention that the squire, it was something the squire had, like some like medicinal thing. I'm guessing it was like an herb or something. I don't know.
But yeah, I mean, like I say, they pretty much, he has this conversation with her. He's done with her. They put her up, and I can't remember who was talking at that point, whether it was a squire, which I'm going to believe it probably was, 'cause he seemed to narrate a lot of these things. But it's like, in her eyes at that moment, you could see that she had a realization that that it's here. She's dying. It's going to happen. Her faith in the devil or what have you has betrayed her.
And you kind of, yeah, it was definitely, no, not to, sorry to interrupt you, but it was definitely a scary realization. And you are kind of seeing this part of the story, that this kind of religious cult, and they're kind of seeing it almost as nonsense. They are crying for the girl. Like, they know this girl isn't a witch. Like, and actually her hands have been broken. And they say, I forgot to mention this. This was just a minute before this, but they say her hand. He says, "Who has done her hands like this? Who has broken her hands?" They said, "Oh, it's the monk over there that did it." And he go and talks to the monk, then turn around, and it's Death. And I think it's just another one of his death sightings. I don't think there's a long conversation. Death pretty much said, and it kind of goes deeper into his character. His character asked a lot of questions, and Death said, "Man, you sure ask a lot of questions." And yeah, and it goes into that. But yeah, it's they're kind of seeing like some religious nonsense, like, this is just a girl. The devil isn't within her. She's just burned. You're gonna get burned for just because, pretty much.
Yeah, but it's like they're not interested at all of dealing with it or anything. It's kind of just, it's already set, and I think that's a level of disappointment that they all share. It's just like this girl's fate's sealed for your all's fear or misunderstanding of the situation, and it's a heavy scene, and I don't say I get tied up in it, but I'm definitely still trying to process it. I guess I can't say what it was, what I was seeing. I mean, I knew what I'd seen, I know what I heard, but it just definitely, like I say, the realization of you've been accused, you're wrong, and they're wrong, and I can't help you.
Mm. It's a sad, almost hopeless, helpless realization. It's tough to deal with. But
Hmm.
the scene goes on. They wander off into the forest and they stop at this spot. And I believe this is where the monk comes back into picture. When they stop, the monk
Yes.
stumbles down this hill at randomly forest, and he's been infected by the plague. And the squire yells, "Don't come any closer!" And the mute girl wants to help, but the squire said it's pointless. And then you see the monk's character. His character is fully written off. You can see him dying in agony, and then he finally perishes. And later in that scene, the chessboard is set back up, so block sets back down. And I'm not sure if it was intentional. Like all of this realization has kind of clouded his mind, and all the his mind has been judged by this love, the hate, the realization, the question for God is clouded. He hasn't really focused on the game, and that he sees that it's checkmate. The next move is checkmate. One thing after another, checkmate, and then you see death. Death mentions the Mia and Yoff's name again, and Block doesn't want her to die, and you see this the Yoff up there says, "Oh wait, Black is down there playing with Death himself," and to try to what I see as, or this is what happened. Block tried to help him escape, knocked his cape over, knocked over all the chess pieces, and then Mia and Yoff are running away, and Death says, "Oh, don't worry, I remember how they were." Sets them all back up, but Mia and Yoff got away. They're riding away at this point. But
That I think, like I say, there's something in this where, yeah, we're not placing that together, but that's what happened. Um,
mhm,
and I don't know if that was supposed to be a redemption arc or something in this, because he's seen that somehow that this small family that he really enjoyed had made him happy, but also were in great danger. So I think that he definitely did. Whoops! I knocked over the chessboard. We can't finish. He's like, "Oh no, I got you." As he puts back, distracts Death, which gives them an opportunity to flee, which leads into them hiding from Death later on. Which it was weird because he had even mentioned it slightly that no one beats me, no one gets away,
true. He does.
and
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm pretty sure what you just brought up. It's actually a really important point that I didn't bring up. Uh, Yoff or Block mentions to Death, like I'm starting to realize, does nobody escape death? And Death just says very coldly, very plainly, "No one escapes me." Like so, it's having a realization that I was never gonna beat him. If I was marked for death, I was marked for death, pretty
yeah,
much.
he felt good to toy with him and let him play his little game and go on. But it's like, yeah, at the end of this, I win. So,
Yeah, yeah.
but
So me and Yoff go their separate ways, and a different the other group. So we have the blacksmith's wife, uh, the squire, Block, and the deaf girl. Now we have 5 people, and they run off. It's storming like crazy. See, at this point, Block is already checkmated, so he kind of already knows his fate is sealed. The way he's acting, they finally arrive to his castle, this enclosed, tight space where they're all together, and Block meets up with his wife. 10 years, they talk together, and they're all in this enclosed space, and they hear a knock on the door, and the squire opens his door. No one's there. He sets back down. They all sit at the table, and then it's almost like a realization, like all of them at the same time can now see Death. I mean, and they can all see death, and they pretty much know that they're done for. And it's really interesting. We'll get our opinions on this because this is the ending. The ending sequence is, I feel like, one of the most impactful parts of the whole story. But I'm pretty sure their death was one of them somehow got the plague, and when they went into the enclosed spaces, they all died from the plague. That's kind of what it was going for.
I don't disagree. Honestly, I thought it was a subtle thing that happened in there. The monk that we mentioned earlier, who died of the plague, who originally was a thief, who'd done all those things. I thought that he had brought it by Joff taking the bracelet that he was stealing off the dead body and taking it and giving it to his wife, and her putting it on her arm. I thought that was how it's brought over to her. But obviously, it didn't. But so yeah, somewhere in that, someone had to have gotten the plague. Obviously,
You know where it could have happened? Could have happened when Yoff cut him up, and something with his blood or something got on him, or something like that.
fair.
Because you saw blood squirting everywhere. So it could have been the squire that got it, or like the blacksmith, or I guess the other actor could have had the plague and given it to the wife, and maybe he died from the plague and not a tree branch, but that was kind of a symbolic way. I don't know. It leaves it up for interpretation. There's not a clear. It's kind of a clear-cut interpretation of they died from the plague, because once they all got into an enclosed space, that's when death came for all of them. So that's kind of what they're going for. How they got the plague, it's not really clear. But yeah, what was interesting about the final death scene, or one of the final scenes when they're all at the dining table and they see death? What did you notice?
Hey, I don't know. I think I probably should have actually went back and watched that one because I know the mute girl is probably what threw me off a lot because she was like up front, like almost like, "Oh, you're here. Please, please take me." I mean, she seemed like she was waiting for it. It's like, I've been dying to see you. But yeah, I mean, they basically sat down and had a meal with him. I mean, the wife invited him to come sit with us. They all recognized him, who he was and what he was there about. But I guess, yeah, they just all kind of humbly just took it in.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting how they dealt with it. From my perspective, I think they all dealt with it in a different way, kind of based on their character. You saw that Block, he was still didn't have any of his answers, and he was searching for meaning. The squire, John, was almost like joking, like kind of an F religion, like kind of rejected religion thing. And the mute girl, which I didn't know she was mute, but she said her first words for the whole movie. It kind of makes sense. She said, "Is it finished?" I think is what she said. And yeah, they all dealt with it in a different way, which that was very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't. Again, it may be part of what the director, the writer was trying to help give you an opportunity to interpret was, how they're welcoming it, how they've accepted it. Just seeing them all the realization Death walked in the room. And he's sitting down for dinner. So that itself was kind of an open way of leaving that and looking at it. But they collectively seem to handle that well.
Yeah, it was the for what it was. They definitely did seem to handle it well. There wasn't anybody that was like screaming or freaking out. Like I think actually Block might have been the most freaked out. I mean, he was kind of like had his hands covered and he was like speaking to himself, like still questioning it. He didn't get his answers. The blacksmith was just like confused, not talking, or confused, like saying like, "Oh, what's going on?"
Well, I think as you say that, I do believe that's what Block was. He realized in that moment, I'm here. This is it. One more time, God, please prove to me you're real. Because, like I said, nobody knew what was beyond that.
I think it also does show one of the main points what they were trying to get at. You see all 5 characters in the room that died, or five or 6, whatever. They all had different character arcs, very different personalities. Some pure, some innocent. Some were on a crusade for 10 years. One was a cheater, one was a sinner, one was an idiot. No matter what, Death handled it equally. And I feel like kind of the points he was getting at is the equality in Death. No matter what, Death will Death will. You're pure. You're innocent. You're a sinner. You're a cheater. No matter what, death is cold and death is equal. I feel like that's kind of what it was trying to get at.
I feel you there. Like I said, I think at first that was my. I don't know if we're hitting final phases or not, but I think that's where my overrunning initial thought of this was is yeah, death comes for all, because that was definitely expressed early on in the church. You know, to every person, death is the one thing that we'll have. Um, I have to say though, like I say, now I may have been molded by someone's opinion on it, but I can see it, the opinion of it. And I guess if I may, I'm like I'm gonna start to work myself into a finalization. Sir Block, his overarching story, which I take, he's our main character, where he's who we're following through majority of this. He wants to know, is God real? And he spends his last days trying to find the answer, the question. Death even asks him, boy, you ask a lot of questions. And I think that at some point, and we'll go back to the strawberry and milk scene, that's the only time he doesn't really ponder it. And I think that itself was a message inside this whole thing of you can spend your life searching for answers, or you can live in a moment that seems good. Because at that point, he was happy. He was glad to talk to the girl. He was happy to see the small child. He was happy to see the couple in love, enjoy a meal with them as he played music for him. And like I say, he didn't really talk about death. He didn't talk about God at that moment. Once the moment had broken and he went back to his chess game with death again, then he became back into this whole I need to know. And forgive me, I can't remember who pushed this idea, but I do think it's a good metaphor for life is, we can spend every waking moment trying to figure out why we're here, what's there, what's next, is God real, is God not real, but you miss life when you don't sit there and enjoy what life is for you, for me, for however, you individually. And he's seen it with the Mia, Joff, and Michael, the baby. So, and even more so is weird, which I don't see it, but I get it. Some say that may even be the metaphor for Mary, Joseph, and the baby Jesus. But I look at it more simply as they're saying, like you say, life is what happens while you're busy doing other things. And his other thing at that point was trying to figure out what's the meaning, why are we here, where are we going, instead of just, maybe just enjoy those 70, 80 years you have.
I couldn't agree more. It seems like that was almost Block's biggest mistake, was spending a lot of his final moments questioning, trying to find answers. Which I think, in parallel, there was Yoff, which didn't try to find answers. He lived life in his moment. He was an actor. He liked art. He had his wife. People told him to dance on a table. He danced on a table. He kind of just went with the flow. He didn't ask any questions. And I feel like in his purity and in his innocence is maybe why he can see death, because in the getting into the final scene, the actual final scene, you see the death's dance, and we see it from Yoth's perspective. Yoth is off in the distance on a beach with Mia and Mikkel's, I think is what you said, Mikkel the baby.
Yeah.
Which one? Mikkel the baby, Mia, and Yoth are off in the distance. They have their traveling cart, and through Yoth's perspective, you see in the distance one of the famous scenes of the movie is Death's dance. Death kind of leading all five of them on, and he has this. He sees them. He can see death, even if he's not marked for death for some reason. In his innocence, in his purity, in his self not asking for questions, he can see death, and it is kind of interesting. He explains this scene like, "Oh, that's funny. Death is dancing with all of them. I can see it now." And then Mia says, "Oh, is this another one of your visions?" And kind of laughs it off. And we kind of see that he can see these things. Like, these aren't visions. It's something about his character, the opposition in parallel to Block's character, his purity. He can see these things for some reason.
Yeah, that makes sense. Maybe it's the innocence that Joff had with it, with the whimsical kind of freeness that he showed, letting go of all these trivial things, and just, like I could see the world for what it is, and I could see that, and even more so, it may have been a metaphor, simple like, there's something, there's something going on, but you're going to dance off with death and go to wherever you go. So it is one of those movies I think that's opened up to a lot of interpretations, and probably still half a dozen things here that we haven't even seen or thought that's in this. So, even I'll just like say I got to swing back because I just thought about it, I looked up again. And Antonius Block spent his time looking for it, and if you actually like I say you think about where he's wasting all his time, Squire John's kind of over there, kind of like, dude, don't worry about it, man. Just master, please, let's move, let's go, let's do these things, let's go on. And he's like, no, I must figure this out. It's like, okay, because when Squire Johns gets off on his own, he's he's eating, he's drinking, he's womanizing, he's thinking about his wife that he used to have, he's trying to pick up a new housemaid, which I guess concubine, second wife, whatever it be. But it's just he lives a little different with it. But I don't know. Like I said, it's
I did
very
like
intriguing, the
Squire's
characters.
character.
Yeah, I mean,
He might have been
seemed
one
like
of my favorite characters, like personality wise.
he was one of the grounded men in this. And I think that was a high point for a lot of them. But yeah, I just there's so much depth in this. I mean, even as we still talk, we've went on for a bit here, and it's just I don't think we've hit everything on it. I'm sitting here looking on this other screen of a lot of these characters. That's why bits and pieces come back, but there's so many more people in here that are in there. Like I don't even know why they're named.
100%. I'll touch on one more thing, and then we do have to in this eventually. I mean, we could probably go on for another hour, but another thing you could kind of interpret Block's way of saving Mia as I saved them from death because death is going to follow me and not catch up to them, and they're going to go in a different direction. Or you can figure out in the literal sense, or what I think what happened is Mia and Yoff went their separate way, and they didn't catch the plague that somebody had in the group, and that's why death didn't meet them, because they didn't end up passing or getting the plague from somebody, because everyone got the plague when they all got in close quarters with each other and ate a meal. Everyone got the plague, and I think Mia, Yoff, and Mikkel were just saved because they didn't get the plague passed to them. I don't think it was death was following Block, and he saved them. His sacrifice was they're not going to be with him when death finally meets up. I think it was just they didn't get the plague. I think that's the realest way to interpret it, and I think that's really interesting. There's like contrast there, how you could see it.
I agree. Actually, that's very intriguing because I did not ponder it as such as they just didn't catch it because they took off. But I could see where you're coming from. Like that's a very good point in this. But I don't know. Like I say, if we want to, just like say, I'll take my side of closing up. We can finish this. I'm going to watch this again at some point, just to really kind of wrap my head around it again. I think it's a good enough movie that you can give it a couple watches. It's a little out there. I mean, I don't think we've even said the words at this point that it's Swedish, but it's also completely a foreign language. So it does take a little bit to get into to focus and watch and read and do the two things at once, especially if you're not used to doing such things. But I think it's a very good watch, and I highly recommend that if you have an hour and 30 minutes, want to have your mind kind of turned, watch it. It's definitely worth your time. I know, hopefully, at this point, if you've made it this far in our podcast today, that you have watched it, because otherwise it's still gonna be a little weird. But you've missed the whole "what the hell did I get into" thing. But I find it hard to wrap this up and put a bow on it because I'm not there yet. There's still so much more that I think this movie can offer that I want to go back to and just really pick up. Not subtle messages, little messages, big messages. So I think it's a good watch. It's a good pick, eh?
I would definitely recommend it. Again, I was going in blind. When you think of 1950s movies, you're kind of like, I don't want to watch a movie from the 50s. I mean, come on now. But this is one of those movies which I feel like you should watch. It's one of those movies when you come away from watching it, when you finish it, you're gonna feel it. you're going to be thinking about it. It's going to be something that could change your way of viewing life, and I feel like a movie like that is important. And honestly, it holds up pretty well with time. I mean, I didn't get super bored watching it. I was intrigued all the way through, intrigued more than
Yeah.
most movies I watch, modern movies. So overall, I enjoyed it. I would recommend you watch it. It's an hour and a half. It's like a couple episodes of anime. I mean, watch a movie for God's sake. But
Um,
we are gonna rate it. But yeah, what do you want to?
I just like I said, I don't think our audience is young enough really to have this effect so much, but I do know a lot of us in today's age, 2026, spend a lot of time watching TV and playing on a device or doing something. This movie, one, you need to watch it with full attention, but it will keep every bit of that attention. I think it's a good, as I like to say a lot of times, it's a good palate cleanser on a lot of the shit you got going on in your world. As towards, one, it gives you an hour and a half to focus. That's not too long to try to watch one thing and stay at. I know we all have hard times with that, but it keeps you going. Nothing drags on so long as to want to look at your phone or want to do this. I mean, I said I just stopped the first time only because I wanted to check it out and I moved on. But when I sat back down and did it, I honestly I skipped a football game that was on TV to watch this, and I think it all worked out really well because I caught the last 5 minutes of the football game, which was crazy. But the movie was pretty good too. So I mean, it's a good one for your brain.
Oh, and we watched it on Plex, which no free ads, but I mean everyone has access to this movie. It's a free movie on there, had no ads, so check that out. You can watch it
It's
wherever.
even on YouTube. I actually had the first 15 I watched on YouTube. But for some reason I said I'm gonna try out Plex to see how it runs and works there. Look good there, I'll say that.
And I liked, again, we got to finish this up, but I keep every time Larry talks, I think of something else. He mentioned a palate cleanser, and I couldn't agree more. It's kind of one of those things. There's no modern BS. There's no ideas being pushed. There's no product placement. There's nothing. None of that BS happening. It's pure cinema. It's pure film, and it's a story being told to make you think, and it's what it does. This movie makes you think for sure. But yeah, we're gonna rate this movie. Larry, do you have an idea in mind? For some reason I haven't thought of a ranking yet. So,
Well, given that this is the first time we've came out with this VGR's movie night and check a look at it. We don't have a whole lot of basis on it, but I don't have a whole lot of basis because I'll basically be Star Wars is my favorite movie series. All 12 of them put together. That's where I'm going to clump that. I don't know what number 2 is. Number 3, my favorite movie of all time is Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. So I'm very weird in my selections. It's a very good movie. I will give it right out, and I'll set a bar for some degree on how I'm looking at it. I'm going to set this as like an 8.1. It's good. It keeps you entertained. It is a little hard, especially if you're not used to watching foreign films. But I don't think that's a great tour on not watching it. It's worth the struggle of getting through it because, I don't like to read. I don't like to read books. We'll put it that way. It's not that I don't read. I can't read. They tend to bore me. But there's enough happening in all of it. You can read and enjoy the movie at the same time. It's a good place to start if you're not into it. I mean, try it out. But 8.1, I think it's a fair rating for this movie.
that's a very fair rating, and I think I'm slightly higher on it simply because actually a majority of the media I watch is subtitles, non-English for some reason. Just because I watch a lot of anime and sub, and like I talked about, I watched some Korean stuff and a couple like a Brazilian movie, a bunch of Korean movies, like a Japanese movie. I watch a lot of stuff in subtitles, and my mind is trained for that. And I don't even notice it at this point. I just read the subtitles and watch it like it's nothing. But I'm sitting around where you are though. I feel like this is one of those movies that has its flaws. The costume direction is a little dated, but I can't really think of. I mean, it's ever so slightly slow in the beginning, but it's not really that slow. I mean, it's an hour and a half movie. I gotta give it 8.6 is where I'm at. I'm sitting at 8.6. I feel like it's one of those movies that you should watch some point in your life.
definitely, I don't know, maybe that's the way we ought to look at some of this is, should you not? No, that's still up for that, but I definitely like I say it's I don't push a whole lot of movies, but this is one I think I would definitely put on my you need to watch at some point in time in your life movies.
I agree. And kind of ending it off here, guys, this is new for us. Let us know if you like VGR movie night. Let us know if you want the trio for the VGR movie night. If you got a recommendation, throw us some recommendations. Maybe on our next VGR movie night, we'll pick one of those. But yeah, I had a good time personally. First experience. I love watching movies. I've been getting into it a lot more. I like movies like this that makes you think, and it's a cool little break from gaming. A different type of media to review.
Oh yeah.
Uh, yeah, Larry, what should all the fans do? And then I'll tell them what we got coming up.
Fair enough. Well, again, like Aiden said, you got suggestions, you got thoughts, got opinions. vgrpod@gmail.com is where you're going to send that to. We also have an Instagram. We got the Facebook that nobody looks at. We're on YouTube. Watch us do this on YouTube. Listen to us on your favorite podcatcher. Still working, trying to get us on Apple, iTunes. There's a way. I'm having a moment with that, and we'll cross those bridges. But we're available on the internet. We'd like to hear from you, so definitely reach out. Let us know how you feel, what you think, and if you have this somewhere, give us a rating. Good, bad, whatever. At least that way, whatever you're listening to us on knows that you like or hate us, or at least you're listening long enough to let us know that you got an opinion. So
I agree, guys. Check us out. See where we are. If you're listening to this on Spotify, check us out on Tube to see our pretty face. Got a link tree there with all of our Instagram, TikTok. He already said that. But yeah, guys, coming up next, we're still working on it, promise. It's kind of we're a little off schedule. Holiday break, we've been busy. It being a really long game, we've kind of been trying to give it an honest playthrough with all the craziness going on with the holidays. But Earthbound is coming up, if not next week. Definitely, extremely soon. It's going to be one of the most recent things we're putting out. But yeah, let us know if you want to see more of this type of content. Earthbound, here we come next. Alrighty, see you guys.
peace. Later.